My name is Buddy Malone. I was born in a hospital in Bakersfield, August 14th, 1937. My dad was Arthur Malone. My mom was Marie Malone. My mom was born on the Blanda Ranch, which is now New Kernville. She's half Native American Indian. My dad wandered in somewhere from Wyoming or the Dakotas as a kind of a farmer rancher down in the LA area somewhere. And he migrated up the river somewhere and he met somewhere along the line. Well, I have 4 brothers: Harvey Malone, Willard Malone, Stanley Malone, and Lorne Malone, and me. My sisters, starting with the oldest, was Clara Malone. Next to her, Joyce Malone, Patsy Malone, Dorothy Malone, and Edith Malone. We lived across the bridge towards the airport on the River Nip Dairy, where my dad worked as a cowhand. He milked cows, and we provided all our own food, grew our own food, raised our own livestock, and that's where we lived. There's an old house there that we lived right on the ranch. It belonged to Art Dally. My dad milked the cows and cooled the milk down, bottled it, and we sold it to the stores. And we lived in that old house for many years with 10 kids. I don't know how we crowded in. We had to socialize with one another because nobody lived around us. However, my mom and dad seemed like all the stray kids around town would come to our house. Some of them would stay. So we actually raised more kids than 10. So, and it was fun because we all had jobs to do and we kept busy. We even raised beans and rabbits and chickens and pigs, and my dad butchered everything. Well, one of my chores while I was going to school was my dad milked cows twice a day up at the dairy. And you get all the cows in the barn and in the manger. And of course they have to go to the bathroom. And they had a trough there that they dropped their waste into and plopped all over. When Dad was milking, of course, he'd let the cows back out. It was my job to clean that mess up. Rake all the poop up, put it in a wheelbarrow, wheel it out, and wash it down, scrub it down with a brush because it got inspected by the health department. And I had to do that twice a day, and I was paid 50 cents each time. I was probably about 12, and I got 50 cents. And my other jobs were irrigating, picking fruit. We had all kinds of fruit trees. General yard cleanup. One time my mom wanted me to clean the yard. She had a lot of driftwood stacked up that she had gathered, and I started a fire, and I burned all the driftwood up. Needless to say, I didn't clean our yard no more. And we attended school. There was a guy named Pappy Hall. He drove the school bus, and it was 4 miles to the school. That was in old Kernville. And he had an old car and pick all us kids up. Not all of them, but 4 or 5 of us, and some of the Crowder kids. And during rainy season, whenever he went through a mud puddle, the car would flood out and die. So we were kind of stuck. And going to school, doing our homework, and we all got very good grades. We attended Sunday school. It wasn't really mandatory by my parents, but they kind of wanted us to, and we did. And that was in the old church in Old Kernville, which is now Kernville Methodist Church. And then I had my other chores at the dairy. Part of that was what I was telling you, the cleanup. And then I had put hay in all the loft so the cows could eat while my dad was milking them. And there was probably 30 cows that he would milk and keep hay in there for the next group that came in. and then just generally clean up and picking fruit. And if Mom wanted fish for dinner, she said, "Bud, I want to have fish for dinner." I said, "Okay." I'd grab a shovel. I'd go out and find a cow patty, turn it over, and under there would be 100 worms. And I'd dig them up, put them in a can, go down to the river, about a half mile. I'd bring home about 30 trout, clean them for her. We had fresh trout that night. And also I sold worms to the fishermen that came up on opening day, a penny a piece. I had a sign out on the road. We pulled down in there. "Need some worms?" "How many?" 100, okay. A little tin can. That'd be probably 48, 49, 50, somewhere before I started high school. And then I was a big shot then. I didn't do those kind of things. In old Kernville, there's a theater there. It was the Oddfellows Hall, which is now the Elks building in Wofford Heights. It's 2-story. And Al Cole was the movie master. He showed movies. And it was tiered. It was a very nice theater, had a nice stage and everything, pretty well arranged. And in the summertime, because of the heat, we didn't have air conditioning. He would move the movie out in the lawn adjacent to the building. We had seats there and a big screen. So we'd watch the movies there. Now, Cole also had a projection booth out there. And underneath it, that's where he stored his rattlesnakes. He gathered rattlesnakes. And one time we had to walk, us kids had to walk 4 miles to go to the movie. Well, my brothers and sisters went and I went. I fell asleep on the bench outside. Woke up, everybody was gone. They left me here and I had to walk 4 miles all by myself. And my brother Lorne, he was quite a track star. He would run the 4 miles and leave us all behind anyhow, so he was supposed to be our guardian, but he liked to run. And Al Cole, he was quite a character. He was very, very smart. He had a junkyard up Keysville. Years and years and years. And if you needed parts for your old car or whatever, you go up there and see him. He'd probably have it. And in the later years, the BLM, I think, made him close it down because of the junk and the unsightly place. And it was. Well, we used to get some tires. Dennis Hinkie and a bunch of us. We'd get some tires, go up behind the theater. And there's a ditch up there. And we'd get inside the tire and head it towards down the hill. And jump the ditch. Back up. And one time we ran into somebody's house and they got mad, chewed us out, so we didn't do that no more. And the other big thing about old Kernville was the park. The Edison Company had built a dam just below the bridge, small dam about probably 5 feet high, detour the water into the canal. That's where the canal started, right in old Kernville, all the way, to Barrel Power Plant. And that was a good swimming spot, big pool. And we would jump off the bridge, a bunch of us. And every year, 4th of July, we'd have a beef barbecue down there. Everybody went. Everybody. And there's some partying going on, some drinking going on. I was the grocery boy for my family. We didn't have a car. My brothers had a car, but they didn't want to be bothered buying groceries. So Mom would give me a big list of stuff to get. I'd hitchhike or walk to town 4 miles. Then I'd swim 2 or 3 hours. Then I'd go shopping at Jane's store. We had an account there. We could charge our groceries. There was 10 kids. Pretty good grocery list. So I'd sack everything up, and I would wait for a ride home. There's a guy who worked at the fish hatchery. He always came down to the post office, and he would give me a ride home and just pick up. After I graduated high school, I kind of loafed around Kernville doing different little odd jobs and stuff. And I got some part-time jobs with Edison Company. I got a job in Bakersfield with a Continental carbon plant. I got a job in Los Angeles, a mountain boy going to downtown Los Angeles, first in Hill, and I worked for the Otis Elevator Company, putting in elevators. My first job was 13 stories high, and I commuted down there and I worked for a year, and I started getting scared about falling. And so I come up to Kernville and then I didn't ever go back. And then I applied for a job at the Army Corps Engineers, Lake Isabella. Got a job part-time for 6 months. We were putting in that campgrounds around the lake. That was a good paying job. And it lasted a year and a half. Jim Smith, he was a deputy sheriff up here, part-time sheriff, but he worked at China Lake Navy Base in the boiler plants. He said, "Bud, they're hiring firemen over there. They're changing from military to all civilian in the fire department. Go apply." So there's 100 guys in the fire department on base alone, three stations. So I went over there. They said, "Well, we're looking for a good man." I said, "Here I am." And we had to do a sandbag test. 100-pound sand, 4 of them on a cart. You had to pick them up, stack them on the cart, move it over there, unload it, load it back up, move it over there, unload it, load it back up, move it over here, unload it. That's hard work, but I passed. I stayed there for 25 years, worked my way up to be a station captain. It was a good job, it was fun.
I say, great Creator, the one above the sun, come and God, Father, hear us. Hear what's in our hearts and our minds. Bless all of us that sit here gathered and gift us with a higher level of thinking so that we can share the love and compassion that you have for the people everywhere we go. And when Bud wakes up, allow him to see his loved ones gathered like this and all the laughing and smiling they do, and let him smile when he sees us. Thank you, Creator.
The Malone cookout. I feel like we all have been there, right?
A DSC is the second highest award. Can you read the bottom? That's the second highest award. He wanted to know if I got it.
I really don't know what to say. This event for 25 years was such a great thing for our family. Bud was always involved, encouraging, and a true cheerleader. He shined with kids. He loved them. We couldn't have done anything any better to celebrate us coming together.
This is a blonde brownie. How can you do that? Oh, that is Jesse waiting on. Another one from Salt Lake City.
Bud was in his highest of happiness with this event. You have all been part of the family for many years. Thank you.
That'd be our honorary cookout for this year. Next year we'll have more, so all of you come back and celebrate with us. We'll have a good time. See you next year. I'm going to turn it back over to Harvey. So don't leave.